Good evening, everybody. Duke here for the second discussion thread: internal communication or communication, climate culture, globalization in industry medias. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time for the little ones upstairs. If you hear loud noises, it's them running around like crazy because that's what kids do and that's what they do best. So bear with me as I walk through all of this. Um, so I'm gonna jump right into it. The discussion was asking to pick a article that addresses either issues related to internal communication and communication, climate, culture, globalization. Um, Article within the last month. So I'm gonna be a little bit of a rebel here, full transparency. And I came across an article. It was called "Globalization of Culture Through Media." This article was dated back in 2002. The reason why I'm going a little rogue here is due to the fact that the globalization of culture through media, I feel like it's ever more important debate to talk about, especially nowadays, and what we have been seeing for the last 4 to 5 years in social media as a whole, and what the U.S., the country, has been doing, influencing the world or global scale, and having a shift in paradigm. I mean, the article talks about that and how the U.S. culture affects the entire world through media, right? And more so than ever because now we have these little gadgets in our hands at all times. So, U.S. became basically a superpower of information, free flowing information. That's one of our, rights. We want the information there available regardless of what it is. So, and in turn, we provide that information and we send it out to the world. So the world is getting that information because other governments, entities, and organizations have filters and established within their own realm, I guess. So it could be a good and a bad thing. Good, obviously, because people are well informed. They can, hey, I'm gonna Google search something, and then 3 seconds later they find something. But there's a bad part to that, and the bad part to that is what we've been seeing for the last 4 years is just the ungodly amount of misinformation, and that can be uh, negative, have a negative effect. And I feel like, and maybe this is just my own personal opinion in the matter, that it has gotten to a point where the United States is actually influencing other countries and how they are seeing things or talking about topics through misinformation, through these some of these venues of social media. One of them is YouTube, right? Everybody's like, "Oh, I saw this YouTube thing," and then people go in there, and all of a sudden you have another viral video of some dude that has some weird background and is talking about some stuff that he has no idea what he's talking about, right? But I think that's what the article is. One of the biggest talking debate points of that article is that United States has such a pull in other people's cultures that they want to be part of it, and then in turn they're forming their own little subcultures within their cultures about it, right? That the whole perception of culture, and there's multi layers to it. And I think I addressed this on the last video, talking about it within the military organization, even within my own unit with 5 different sections. So you're pulling bits and pieces that you want to fit into your own culture. When I lived in Brazil growing up, everybody wanted the Nike shoes to go play soccer. Or when I lived in Japan, they have Tokyo Disney. Like, and in fact, one of the North Korean family members got arrested there because he wanted to experience that Western uh, world culture in a sense. So they detracted themselves away from their own culture to be part of it, even though they know within their own culture that's a taboo, right? So, with that bit of information, sorry, I'm making notes and they're all chicken scratch, so I'm trying to decipher my own handwriting, so that makes it fun. With that, it can also create a supportive or defensive climate, right? Within an organization or even within a family member or your neighborhood. I know in the military, it's very taboo to talk about politics, depending on what kind of status you are and so on and so forth. But I'm one of those people that actually would like to discuss it. I'm not like promoting a defensive thing where I'm just going to start debating people all the time. I'm listening to these people, what they're to try to see their perspective, and if they want to hear mine, we'll talk about it and we discuss things. It never gets to a point where it's just boiling over the hot pot, and I feel that can create more of a supportive communication style. But a lot of people have gotten, now going back to the article talking about the media, right? And everybody is just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So it creates a lot of defensive. So there's that back and forth where you can create defensive versus supportive climates within an organization. But that also can go into talking about managerial styles, or I'm sorry, ideal managerial climates. So people can be defensive about it and they don't want to come to me to talk about it because they might think that I'm going to lash out. So it falls into that whole silence piece, right? Or it could be just the opposite way. This is like, hey, this guy, is supportive. He doesn't care which perspective it is as long as it's not harming anybody or whatever the case may be. They feel more open to come and talk about some of these stuff, or just open to talk about a lot of things. You're creating that climate. So all in all, I feel media and social media has created an overarching culture, or like a globalization blanket, like the U.S. Western culture over the world. So a lot of people kind of have this tendency to look to the United States as a leader for a lot of things, right? So globalization of information being shared and sought out to for companies and now ideas to connect more people than ever around the globe. And we see that, like, hey, you want a soda, you're most likely going to get a Coke, right? Or a Pepsi, depending on what side of the world you're in. Who knows? But a lot of people want to be more involved, and companies are trying to have that reach a lot of these other companies. So they're putting a lot of money and effort to social media now, especially. I mean, even the Air Force has been like paying recruiters to do TikTok videos all day long to try to recruit some of these guys. So I feel like that article kind of hit it right in the nail when it talks about culture and globalization as a whole, like through social media. So sorry, that was a little lengthy. I kind of went off on a little bit of tangents there, but that's my post for this week. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. I love to hear you guys' feedback, and you guys have a good night.